So Mars began its journey on the Power Platform in 2018. We have currently more than 8,000 apps running, more than 31,000 flows. The most exciting to me is that sky is the limit, as we say. People are coming to me saying, hey, the results I get were tremendously good, right? So I'm now eager to do more.
Copilot Studio and AI has helped us do more with less effort. It's made our apps smarter. It's boosted efficiencies. Ultimately, it's helped us decrease operational costs.
We've used AI Builder and Power Automate to really accelerate automations. There's a lot of ingenuity in our user base, so empowering them with the tools that Power Platform gives. My brain is just firing off with possibilities. Businesses can realize the future through Power Platform.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Business Applications Update, Power Platform and Copilot Studio Edition. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Charles.
And we are your hosts for today. We'll be taking you through some of the latest features coming to the Power Platform and Copilot Studio over the next 6 months.
I gotta say, this is my first update since coming back from leave, and I'm really, really, really happy to be back.
I am so excited for you to be here too. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm the program manager for Copilot Studio, so I'm very interested in talking about all the great things that are coming in Copilot Studio.
Yes, I'm excited to hear all about Copilot Studio as well and the Power Platform. And you're hosting the show for the first time in its brand new format. Mm-hmm. You're coming back from paternity leave. You're a brand new dad. How has that been?
It's been amazing. Lots of long, sleepless nights, but I wouldn't trade it in for anything in the world.
Awesome. Well, we have a lot to get through today, and so I think we should just jump right in.
Ready to do it. That being said, since I'm kind of the guest of sorts, I think I should go first with Copilot Studio.
I'm going to pull the veteran of Business Applications Update show and say we're going to go with Power Platform first.
Deal.
And I think that I have something exciting to kick us off that's going to make up for me making that executive decision.
What you got?
I had the chance to chat with Ryan Cunningham, the CVP of Power Platform, about the future of apps, pages, and automation. Shall we take a look?
Oh, I can't wait.
Ryan, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here.
So I have a couple of questions thinking about the future and where we're headed with the Power Platform. So to start, how would you describe the Power Platform today?
What a time to be alive in this space, right? The Power Platform is today, by pretty much every measure you can measure, the market-leading low-code platform. It is the mainstream way that businesses are choosing to automate processes, build new applications, empower a wider group of people to get hands-on with technology. And it's just been so cool to see everything that has led up to this point over the last several years. It's also at a massive turning point. What we expect of what it means to create software in a company and what we expect that software to do radically changing right now. And Power Platform is right in the middle of it. All of the expertise that this community has built and this product has built, over the last several years is in many ways more relevant than ever, even as the underlying technology is changing and shifting in a lot of ways. So it's just a really interesting time to be innovating and being part of this product community.
Absolutely. And so where is your vision for where it's headed next, given all of that?
Yeah, I think if you look at that frame, some things are very durable. I think the mission we've been on for a long time is not really about any one piece of technology. It's not about dragging and dropping or pointing and clicking or an RPA bot or whatever. It's about shortening the distance between a person with a need and instructions to computers. Mm-hmm. And we've learned a lot about how to do that well in the last several years. And the tools to do that now are so much more powerful than they ever have been before. And so, some parts of this evolve. Now I can generate code by talking to an agent instead of only having to drag and drop and point and click. But that core mission of get really powerful tools in the hands of people who best understand a business process and do really powerful things with it, that is more relevant than ever. And so our vision is, really continue to accelerate and get to the next order of magnitude of breadth and impact on the mission that we've been on from the beginning.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And you talk about the tools, you talk about agents. We're hearing a lot about MCP servers, agents and apps, apps and agents. How do you see the landscape for app building changing?
Yeah. We're at this really interesting moment where there's a lot of buzz about vibe coding right now, and there are really powerful things. We are certainly entering that market as well. You can generate custom pages in a current model-driven Power App. You can generate a whole new app using something like App Builder or Vibe. But a lot of people in the market today are vibe coding the last generation's applications. And I think the other thing we have to realize is that the work itself is changing. We're not just rebuilding some software a little bit faster. We're actually really thinking about how work flows through a company. And today that work flows through applications, right? Because a lot of it is very manual. And whether you're using a CRM system or using a custom app or building a PowerPoint presentation or a spreadsheet, a lot of these business processes naturally flow across applications. And so if we're going to make that work more efficient and we're going to bring Copilot and agents into the flow of that work, we also have to teach them how to use applications in really impactful ways. And then we have to create new experiences for them to work with people in, right? And that is really the future of applications, is how do you make an application usable by people and agents? And then how do you create new types of experiences for that interaction? That's really what ties together a lot of the features that you'll hear about in the Biz Apps update today, and that we will continue to really roll out and innovate over the months to come.
And so Power Platform has always been about the democratization of programming and putting these tools in people's hands who don't have a coding background.
Right.
One of my favorite things about it.
Yeah.
So how does this all shift the industry when we're building on the existing low-code space?
It's very popular right now to claim that everybody becomes a builder. And in many ways, that's true. I think the other thing to sort of gut check that against though is like very few regular people woke up this morning and said, I want to build an agentic business application. That's just not a thing that happens to normal people. But a lot of people woke up this morning and said, man, this part of my job sucks.
Sure.
I really wish this was better, or I really wish I didn't have to spend so much time on this thing. And a portion of those people have always been very motivated to do something about it. And what we can do now is give them more powerful tools to do more about it than ever before. And that's existential to a lot of companies right now. A lot of organizations, really need to figure out, how do I innovate? Because in every industry, there are companies being born that do not have the expectations and the constraints of the past. Right. And so for a lot of us, it's not just that we want to democratize for the sake of, giving people skills and hoping they use them.
Right.
For a lot of organizations, it's we have to figure out how to operate more efficiently, more effectively, 10 times better than we did before, if we want to remain competitive in the years ahead.
Absolutely.
Right. And we just don't have the time or resources to go at the pace of traditional software development and top down and locking it only in the ivory tower of a few experts. We have to go find the people that understand the beating heart of the organization today and how it actually works, and give them powerful tools as well. And that's really what this moment is so important for.
So this is super exciting and it all sounds really, really cool. So I have to ask, what are you most excited about that the team has delivered?
Oh man, you're asking me to pick a favorite child. It's really hard to do. I would say this sounds like a diplomatic answer, but it's true. It's less about any one feature. For me, it's about how they start to really compose together. Like, I'm really excited about bringing Copilot into apps, into Power Apps, into Dynamics. And I'm really excited about bringing app skills into Copilot. It gets really magical when you use all of that together, right? It gets really magical when I can start at Copilot and, ask an agent to enter a new candidate into the system and have it just work and see just that form right in line, but then can go click into the full application and see everything else around the process and keep working with that agent as I go. And so for me, it really is the composition of how these capabilities are coming together for users, for builders, and for automation that starts to get really, really exciting.
With so much change happening, what would be your advice to today's makers and developers?
Yeah, it's really easy to get overwhelmed right now. And I think it's true for all of us, self included. There's so much going on. It feels almost impossible to keep up with it all. And sometimes it's tempting to just tune out or wait for things to kind of settle out in that moment. I would say that is not the right strategy. I think the best thing to do is be hands-on. Get started. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Start building things
now and evolve with them as they go. That's what we're doing internally. That's what I do every day, is actually carve out time to just be hands-on, build Power Apps, build on other platforms, because that's the best way to really get a concrete understanding, outside of the news feed, outside of the the social feed, but just really grok what's going on. Like, there has never been a better time to just jump in and make stuff, and that's just fun as well.
This is so exciting. Thank you so much for being here today and for talking to me about all of these different features that are coming and the future of Power Platform.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to take all of the crazy work all these engineers are doing and try to help it make sense for everybody else and put it together in one place. And really thank you to everybody tuning in for just spending the time to learn and grow. I cannot wait to see what people build with all this stuff.
Me too.
Ryan is great when it comes to Power Apps. He talks a lot about rapid building, putting development power in the hands of more people. He mentions this idea of, you don't come in with an app you want to build, you come with a problem you want to solve. And I love that because it sounds very much like Copilot Studio.
And Power Apps. But you're right, Charles. Our worlds are combining. And I think it's for a really good reason. And I'm so excited to talk about it. Power Apps in particular is my favorite product.
Tell me why.
So the truth is that Power Apps is what kickstarted my career in tech. Anyone can solve a business problem with software, no matter what your coding experience is. And one of the coolest features that we're going to see is that makers can now build and edit generative pages using external code gen tools like GitHub Copilot CLI and Claude Code. Have you had a chance to use any of those?
I have. And I got to say, agents are great, but that's not the only UI. A lot of times people think, well, agents are going to replace everything as it comes to applications. But in reality, you can't chat your way through every problem. Instead, the idea of a generative page is really important. I spent some time preparing for an IoT talk that I was going to give. I was talking about IoT and agents working together. So I was talking to an agent that I built, and I said, give me everything I need to know about this. And instead of just a wall of text, what it actually did was it created a guide for me, a whole interactive page where I can go to different sections. I can have it organized in a way that makes sense. And it even tracked what I was doing, what I was reading. And I thought it was such a much more effective way of consuming information. I think that's really going to be the future of UX.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I feel like what we're kind of discovering in real time as we talk through all of these different capabilities is that apps and agents is going to be the much more powerful thing as a duo, not separate products.
I agree. And I know that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are probably tons of features that are coming on a Power Platform. So I am excited to see everything that you have to show.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't show up without a really, really awesome demo.
Let's see it.
At T-Mobile, getting a new initiative from idea to launch is a team sport. Finance, engineering, IT, and go-to-market teams all collaborate closely to shape each initiative and ensure its success before it moves forward. That coordination happens through Orbit, a single governed workspace that serves as the main landing app for several applications. One of those is steering reviews, where cross-functional leaders review, approve, and shape every initiative before it enters the pipeline.
Today, the application that supports this process has evolved successfully alongside the business, enabling teams to meet growing demands and increasing complexity. But as that complexity has scaled, the experience has shifted from enabling momentum to absorbing it. Additional screens and steps now stand between users and outcomes, particularly for teams operating under tight timelines ahead of weekly steering meetings.
At the same time, expectations have changed. Users are seeing how AI and agent-driven experiences can reduce friction, accelerate decisions, and keep focus on what matters most. With the latest Power Apps capabilities, that shift becomes tangible. Teams can move from managing processes to driving impact, delivering faster insights, cleaner interactions, and measurable productivity gains without sacrificing governance or scale. Let's take a look.
Let's start inside the Steering Review app. The first thing you'll notice is that Microsoft 365 Copilot now lives directly inside the application. It has the context of what the user is working on within the app, so it understands the steering review data, and with Work IQ, it also understands your work, your emails, meetings, Teams messages, and documents across Microsoft 365. So when an FP&A approver opens the app and asks, which initiatives are waiting on my FP&A approval? Instead of clicking through views, filtering columns, and scanning rows, they get an immediate conversational answer. They can follow up. Has anyone from engineering flagged concerns about the cloud migration timeline in recent emails, meetings, or Teams messages? With Work IQ, Copilot searches across the user's work and surfaces a thread from last week, where an engineering lead mentioned a dependency on a legacy system decommissioning that could push the delivery window. That context, which lives outside the app entirely, is now right here alongside the Dataverse record. This empowers decision makers at T-Mobile with both critical app data and real-world collaboration insights, all in one place, eliminating the need to search through emails or understand complex databases. The approver closes the Copilot panel and turns their attention back to the active initiatives view. Rather than manually building filters, they type directly into the search bar. Show me initiatives where pricing has approved but FP&A is still pending. The grid reshapes instantly. No column hunting, no custom views. With the results right here, they click Visualize. A chart appears. Initiatives distributed by risk level. That's a steering meeting-ready visual, generated in seconds from the data already on screen. One record catches their eye: cloud migration. High risk, 201 days to launch. They click in. Right at the top of the record, an AI-generated summary lays out where this initiative stands. Pricing has approved, FP&A is still in assessment, and an engineering lead flagged a dependency on a legacy system decommissioning that could push the delivery window. The same concern that Copilot surfaced from that email just moments ago. The approver doesn't have to read through dozens of fields or chase down context. It's already here, synthesized, and ready. And this isn't something that was configured specifically for the Steering Review app. These Copilot capabilities are enabled at the environment level, making natural language search, instant visualization, and AI-generated summaries available across every model-driven app in the environment. There's no need to roll this out app by app or rebuild any screens, allowing these AI experiences to scale consistently across the entire application portfolio. Now let's look at how agents fit into this process. Today, when all intake approvals are complete, go-to-market, engineering, and information technology have signed off, a program manager has to manually schedule the steering review meeting, coordinate calendars across the committee, and attach the relevant initiative context. That's where agents come in. We're in Copilot Studio, looking at the steering review scheduler, one of several agents that assist in the steering review process. When a Dataverse status change indicates all intake approvals are complete, this agent is triggered automatically. It uses 3 key tools working together. Work IQ checks committee availability across Microsoft 365, calendars, scheduling preferences, out-of-office status. Dataverse MCP server provides the data intelligence, finding the right tables and reading initiative context. And Power Apps MCP server takes action, using invoke data entry to create the steering review meeting record with all the relevant details populated. The agent doesn't just schedule blindly. If there's a conflict it can't resolve, or if the initiative has been flagged as high risk and needs an expedited review, it escalates to the program manager. The structured, auditable steering review process stays intact, but the manual coordination that surrounds it goes away. Now let's see what that looks like inside the app. All of the agent's work is visualized in the agent feed, a built-in supervision inbox that appears directly inside the model-driven app. Think of it as a task board for everything your agents are doing. Tasks are organized into needs attention and completed. At the top of the list, the steering review scheduler has flagged a scheduling conflict. All intake approvals for rural fiber backhaul were completed, but when the agent checked calendars across Microsoft 365, it couldn't find a common time slot for all 6 committee members within the next 5 business days. Instead of failing silently, it found the soonest available slot and escalated the decision to a human. We click in, and the detail view shows exactly what the agent did: the calendar availability check, who's available when, and the proposed meeting date. The approver reviews the context, confirms the proposed meeting slot, and clicks Accept and Complete. The meeting is scheduled. Every action the agent took is logged. Every place it paused for human input is surfaced clearly. Agents accelerate the work without giving up visibility or governance. Now let's look at how the app's UI itself can evolve. When teams need purpose-built experiences, comparing initiatives side by side, visualizing risk and approval status at a glance, standard forms and grids reach their limits. Generative pages already address this. Makers describe what they want in the model-driven app designer, and Copilot in Power Apps generates a React-based page. New capabilities in Power Apps takes that further by opening up generative pages to best-in-class, external agentic AI coding tools, purpose-built for iterative refinement and multi-file reasoning. Here, a maker already has a generative page, the initiative review dashboard with the Gantt chart we just saw. Now they want to take it further. They open up GitHub Copilot CLI and describe what they need. Update the initiative review dashboard. Add interactive hover cards so when a user hovers over a Gantt bar, show a detail popover with budget, risk level, approval status, and upcoming milestones. The tool analyzes the existing page code, proposes a plan, and generates the enhancement. Production-ready React and TypeScript. That code is pushed into the app using packed CLI and MCP servers that connect directly to the Dataverse environment. The updated page appears immediately, inheriting platform hosting, security, and ALM. No separate app, no manual front-end development. This is how teams get incremental modernization without rewriting the app, evolving the experience continuously, responding to real user feedback, without the overhead of traditional development cycles. None of this required a replatform. None of it required months of custom development. It's the same steering review process, the same governance, the same Dataverse foundation, just a fundamentally better experience for the people who use it every day.
One of the things I really love about T-Mobile is just how game they are for things. Not only are they a big Power Platform customer, but they're also a big Copilot Studio customer as well. And it just goes to show how intertwined Copilot Studio and a Power Platform are.
Yes, they definitely are. And one of the things I love about that story is that we often see different products within the Power Platform being used alongside Copilot Studio and within the platform itself. One of those is Power Automate. And we just saw agents helping with the operations in that demo, which honestly, when I think of operations, I think of Power Automate Desktop.
Absolutely. I used to play around with Power Automate Desktop a lot.
Yeah.
And I used to love desktop flows, but I always had this one issue that would consistently pop up. Anytime the page would change, it would break the flow a little bit. And sometimes it would be things like those marketing, ad pop-ups,
Yes.
right? The ones that would say, do you accept the cookies?
Right.
And if it popped up and I didn't previously clear it, it would sometimes break the flow. And I just thought, okay, maybe I should go with computer using agent instead, or KUA, as we love to call it.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I think that one of the new capabilities that's coming to Power Automate Desktop, the new self-healing capability, it's all about reducing that exact maintenance tax that you just talked about. So when something in the target app changes, the automation can recover and keep going. Or at the very least, it'll tell you what it fixed.
See, that to me is a game changer because that's one of the most common issues that people talk about with Power Automate Desktop. So now having something that can do the self-healing so it can keep going, I'm down.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that we're going to be addressing in this release wave is the ability to truly make these robotic process automations autonomous and unattended using the new scheduling capability. So I think that we should take a look at how an insurance company's robotic process automation, or RPA, has been able to leverage these brand new capabilities.
As a claims operations manager at Fabricam Insurance, my team processes thousands of claims every month. And a big part of that is reconciling invoices from our billing portal against open claims. My team streamlines that work with Power Automate, saving us hours every day. This is our claims reconciliation flow. Every night, it logs into our CRM, navigates to the billing tab, closes the system notification, extracts all the invoice totals, and calculates the aggregate. That aggregate is then passed along to another automation for reporting. Let me run it so you can see it in action. You can see that robotic process automation, or RPA, closes the system notification in step 3. As it loops through, everything matches, every element is found, and it completes normally. This automation gave my team back hours every day, transforming how we work. Now here's something every organization that automates against third-party systems will recognize. We don't control our CRM's vendor release cycle. They push updates regularly, and sometimes those updates change things behind the scenes. A button ID, an element attribute. Even though the page functionality is the same, let me show you what that looks like. The CRM shipped a weekend update. visually identical, but they moved the system notification out of a pop-up into the main page. Let's run the flow again. The flow can't find the close button, so it stops. That's expected behavior. The selector it's looking for no longer matches. But in a production environment, this means we need to loop in IT to recapture the element and redeploy. And in the meantime, my team is catching up manually. This is the nature of automating across systems you don't own. This is exactly the kind of challenge self-healing was designed for. When the automation can't find an element, it doesn't stop with an error. It uses AI to look at what's actually on screen and figure out what to interact with instead. I configure self-healing right on the action's error handling. It doesn't change how the automation works normally, it's just a safety net, and I control exactly which actions use it. Let's run the flow again. You'll notice the step takes a moment longer. That's the AI analyzing the screen, figuring out the close button isn't present, but it is still able to proceed, and the automation recovers. It completes successfully. With this new capability, the automation has enhanced resilience and adaptability, seamlessly recovering from UI modifications without IT intervention, bolstering operational continuity and optimizing our team's resource allocation. Now, self-healing only matters if the automation is actually running when it needs to. Our reconciliation has to happen every night at 10 p.m., after the billing portal refreshes and before my team starts the next morning. Up until now, scheduling a desktop flow meant coordinating through cloud flows and setting up triggers. This created added complexity for our process. With the new dedicated schedules for desktop flows feature, I can create a schedule for the claims reconciliation for every night at 10 p.m. natively in Power Automate. No additional solutions or flows. Combined with self-healing, it means our claims flows run on schedule and adapt when the billing portal changes without anyone stepping in. My team starts every morning with the data they need, ready to focus on what actually matters, taking care of our claimants.
All right, so I'm a big fan of the YouTube Subway Take shorts. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise.
Okay.
And one of the things that I love about it is that they always have this hot take for it, right?
Sure.
So an example hot take might be, the best Italian food in the world is in the U.S. True story.
Controversial.
True story. Settle down, everyone. Settle down. I don't want to hear it. It's true. I said this right in front of my Sicilian mother-in-law, right? So I stand by it. Anyway, I say all that to say, I like tech hot takes as well. Mm-hmm. And one of the tech hot takes I always had is, why do you need desktop flows when we can just use computer using agents, right? But one of the things I realized from seeing your demo is that desktop flows are fast. And it's really great for all those high velocity type scenarios. Now, Kua, it takes its time, but it's really good at navigating things. So I did a little bit of experimentation. And one of the things I realized is that they actually work really well together. So I used Kua to try and navigate through all of the complexity of a site. But then when it found the form it needed to fill out, boom, it then launched a desktop flow and it filled it out in seconds. So again, this whole theme of better together, it just keeps coming.
You're so right about the better together story. And I want to bring it back a little bit because do you remember earlier when we were talking about using external coding tools like GitHub Copilot and Claude Code to build faster in Power Apps?
Absolutely.
So that same superpower is coming to Power Pages. So if you're building a site, you can iterate with those tools and still land it in the governed production-ready experience.
So in a way, we're talking about generative type Power Pages.
Yes, and it is very cool. It accelerates the development of Power Pages sites, and I think that you are going to want to see this.
Yes.
For this next demo, we're heading to Washington, D.C. to talk about Special Olympics International. Special Olympics is a global nonprofit made up of more than 200 countries and territories, supporting athletes, families, coaches, and volunteers. But when each program runs its own systems and processes, data becomes siloed, and the experience can feel fragmented. To solve this, Special Olympics has been using Power Pages to build highly accessible, customer-facing portals, helping athletes and volunteers complete critical tasks more easily and independently. while connecting to systems like Dynamics 365 for a unified view of engagement. In this demo, we'll see how the newest capabilities in Power Pages can help Special Olympics build and deploy production-ready sites even faster with the security and governance that they need. Let's take a look.
I need to build a Power Pages site for Special Olympics volunteers and athletes to register. Normally, I'd start here in Power Pages Studio. But this time, I'm going to use the new Agentic AI coding tools for Power Pages. With the Power Pages plugin installed, the agent can translate high-level requests into concrete build actions. As it executes, it automatically invokes the right Power Pages skills for each task. I'll start by describing the site I want to create. The agent listens, gathers all the essential details, and then generates a detailed step-by-step implementation plan. Before moving forward, the agent pauses to request approval. I review the plan, make any needed adjustments, and then give the go-ahead to begin building. The agent invokes the Create Site skill to scaffold the site, a React single-page app with routing, a design system, and 8 pages built from the ground up. As each page is created, it appears in the local preview. I can see layout, flow, and accessibility in real time before anything is published. That alone is a huge time saver. I spot a styling issue on the volunteer registration page. The agent diagnoses the root cause, CSS scoped inside a single component, and moves the shared styles so they apply site-wide. Just like that. Once the structure looks right, I move to the next layer, data. I ask the agent to create the Dataverse schema based on the site's pages and forms. Using the Setup Data model skill, it reads the source code, analyzes the data flows, and proposes a schema with an entity relationship diagram for review. After I approve the design, the agent creates 7 tables via the Dataverse API, with the right relationships aligned to how programs operate across regions. All of that from a single conversation. The tables are now visible in Power Pages Studio. I click into athlete registration and confirm sample data has been populated using the Add Sample Data skill. 5 records per table, enough to validate the full journey. Now, to lock down access, I ask the agent to create web roles for the site using the Create Web Role skill. It discovers the existing roles, then asks which new ones to add. I select athlete, volunteer, coach, and event organizer. The agent generates the role files. Then it confirms that I'm ready to deploy the web roles for the site. After I approve, it pushes them using the Deploy Site skill. The roles are now visible in Power Pages Studio, ready to be assigned table permissions. That whole workflow, roles created, reviewed, and deployed in minutes. The agent chains directly into the Setup Auth skill for authentication. It checks prerequisites, framework, deployment status, existing roles, and asks which auth features I need. I choose login, logout, and role-based access. The agent generates the auth service, hooks, UI components, and navbar integration. No manual wiring required. Using the Integrate Web API skill, the agent surfaces the Web API endpoints needed to wire registration forms to Dataverse, athlete registrations, volunteer registrations, contact submissions, and event registrations. A final build using the Deploy Site skill and the site is deployed. The site compiles, uploads to Power Pages, and activates. It's live and ready for testing. Let's take a look. Here in Power Pages, I can see the site, and I'm going to preview it in the desktop mode. In minutes, I've been able to create a site with 8 pages and the proper tables in Dataverse fully connected with relationships, web roles for access control, and table permissions configured so volunteers, coaches, and staff each see the right data in Dataverse. Previously, this would have taken my team weeks to put together. The result is simple. Volunteers move faster, staff spend less time on manual follow-up, and more energy stays focused on creating opportunities for athletes.
Gotta say, this is one of my favorite stories ever, and here's why. I've been doing these updates for a long time now, and we've seen really, really big companies doing really, really big things. I think all of that is amazing. But one of the things we talk about often is the idea of empowering everybody to achieve more. And looking at the Special Olympics, it's a great opportunity to say, here are other use cases that are out there as well that are very impactful. I'll give you another example. I was signing up at a nursery for classes for my daughter, and I just so happened to notice that it was done in Power Pages. And I just thought to myself, this is what it's all about.
No, you're so right. And I feel like seeing the impact that these products have in the real world and even experiencing them for ourselves, you're totally right. That's what it's all about. But I also think that being a new dad maybe has softened you up a little bit.
It has made me so sentimental in so many ways and doing all kinds of things I never thought I'd do, like this super corny daddy mug. What are you going to do?
She's so cute. And I bet that you have had a lot of sleepless nights and probably needed quite a bit of coffee.
Well, not much of a coffee drinker, but I do love a good soda. And on that note, Coca-Cola Beverages is up next. Now, Coca-Cola Beverages Africa is our Copilot Studio customer. Before I get into it, I'd love to talk a little bit about what's coming in Copilot Studio. For one, we're rapidly upping our game with improvements to workflows. We're also using this to combine some of the deterministic predictability of workflows with more of the autonomous capabilities of agents. So it's becoming the best of both worlds in a lot of ways. We're also introducing more and more models too. Tons of them are coming out each day. So every time you log back in, you're going to see even more of them. And of course, everyone's favorite, Kua. Any favorites for you?
I think the one that you talked about with all of the additional models that are coming in and the ability to pull in models from Azure Foundry.
Absolutely. That's definitely going to be a crowd pleaser. So let's see what Coca-Cola Beverages Africa is doing to get the most out of Copilot Studio and see these features in action. Coca-Cola Beverages Africa operates one of the most complex beverage supply chains in the world. Responsible for roughly 40% of Coca-Cola's total volume across the continent, CCBA spans across 14 countries and have over 13,000 employees. In this environment, planning is never static. Demand shifts, road conditions change, vehicles break down, and warehouses run at full capacity. For years, route planning relied on fixed schedules and heavily manual processes. The moment reality changes, planners had to intervene, rework routes, and coordinate downstream teams by hand. Today, CCBA is modernizing. By using Microsoft Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, and Copilot Studio, they're moving from static, manual tasks to AI-driven execution with agent automation.
At CBBA, route planning often starts with reviewing sales orders across delivery regions. Reviewing the orders to develop a route plan can be a multi-hour process, and automating them can be a challenge across legacy systems. Agents could previously call agent flows to add structured processes to agent decision-making. This now also works in reverse, by allowing an agent to be embedded in an agent flow. Route planning is a perfect example of having an overall structured process where agents are deployed when and where intelligence is needed. This agent flow manages the end-to-end route plan creation. It collects new sales orders from Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, calls the computer use tool to locate and navigate through disconnected systems like weather and traffic websites, and summons a Power Automate desktop flow to rapidly fill out forms the computer use tool encounters. Yes, they do work together. It takes all the information collected and feeds it to a route planning agent. If the agent is unsure of how to proceed, for example, if the sales order has incomplete information, it can request human assistance from the connection owner. Let's review the agent details and make some enhancements. Copilot Studio now supports a wider range of agent models, including Anthropic models such as Claude, Sonnet, and Opus. Opus is great at the deep reasoning needed for route planning. We've introduced Work IQ, which provides intelligence from work sources that make the agent an expert in your organization. It grounds the agent in rich data from Teams, Outlook, SharePoint, OneDrive, employee profiles, and more. This helps the agent understand which documents, employees, customers, trucks, and products are relevant to the route plan. It also determines what kind of actions CCBA can take to build and deliver the route plan. For example, the WorkIQ calendar server includes multiple tools that the agent can use to interact with the Outlook calendar. Using these tools will give the agent the ability to write the delivery schedule to the driver's calendars. The agent can use the Power Apps MCP server to interact with a field service app and customer data stored in Dataverse. And with support for an ever-growing list of out-of-the-box MCP servers, CCBA's route planning agent can connect to a nearly limitless range of data sources needed to make complex decisions. And if that doesn't meet their needs, they can create a custom MCP server, like this one that contains all the routing rules, constraints, and data sources. Let's add a prompt to give the agent the ability to create a route planning document. Copilot Studio's prompts support over 11,000 models, including custom models through Azure Foundry. This agent uses a specialized model to intelligently determine which systems it needs to consult and what information it should take into consideration. The prompt assistant can turn a description into a comprehensive set of detailed instructions that the agent will use to build the document. The instructions even include suggested inputs for knowledge sources. Let's accept the suggestion and review the output. Prompt outputs are no longer limited to just text or JSON. Outputs can now also be created in the form of documents based on a document layout provided. Let's use a route planning template. Copilot Studio will identify and map the fields in the template and use that as the basis for authoring the document. Let's test this prompt. The model evaluates the inputs and instructions, reviews the knowledge sources, and reviews the fields in the template provided. When it's complete, it creates a summary of the suggested route plan and generates a document with the details of the plan. This document looks good, thorough, and complete thanks to that custom model. With the test complete, the prompt can be added to the agent. If any changes are needed, prompts can now be edited in line, allowing for faster adjustment than ever before. CCBA can update the agent instructions, adjusting reasoning depth, and test changes directly within the agent configuration. This route planning agent gathers quite a bit of data via the MCP servers. But CCBA often uses external systems to weigh factors like weather advisories, weight restrictions, fuel prices, and emerging risks. Agent flows can now summon the computer use tool to bridge the gap. The computer use capabilities of Copilot Studio allow the agent to reason across multiple disconnected systems simultaneously to synthesize data for its analysis. The computer use capabilities now support both Anthropic and OpenAI models for maximum flexibility when deploying the agent. The instructions builder makes it easier to create instructions the agent can follow without error. Simply describe what the agent should do, and it will translate it into detailed instructions. If anything is unclear, the instruction builder will give a warning asking for more clarity. With the instructions updated, let's test it with a sample city passed by the agent flow. As it runs, it follows a stream of logic to navigate through the application. It makes note of any weather alerts or potential storms that could cause delays. And by combining it with the agent flow's logic, such as a loop through sales orders, it will pull the inputs from all the cities listed in the sales orders to factor into the route plan. This autonomy makes the computer-using agent powerful, but it will always keep humans in the loop by having a designated supervisor to serve as the agent's manager and consultant if it needs clarification or needs permission to access an information source it recommends. For example, during this process, the computer-using agent sent an email seeking clarification on the thresholds that constitute a high-risk rain alert. The operations manager can provide those details in an email response, and the agent can continue to run with a better understanding of what details are important. Before deploying these changes to production, CCBA can validate the agent behavior using evaluations grounded in real planner conversations. Multi-turn evaluations can now simulate full planning cycles, ensuring agents behave correctly across complex scenarios. Conversations can be auto-generated based on the agent's instructions, knowledge, or topics, or they can be manually created. Let's review a conversation set. By looking into the set, an extended simulation conversation between an agent and a user is shown. This can be extended with additional conversational exchanges before adding it to the evaluation, saving it, and running it. Multiple test methods can also be used. The evaluation can look at the general quality, the use of specific tools or topics, keywords being used, or custom instructions the manager can add. Let's start the evaluation. It will iterate through the evaluation set, asking the agent questions it formulated and compare its actual answers to the expected answers. It will then give each question a passing or failing grade. Let's take a look at the results here and understand a bit more about the score. If an evaluated question passed, the test case details will provide feedback about why, along with the trail of conversation and the knowledge sources used during the conversation. If a question failed, the test case details will give an assessment about why it felt the answers were of poor quality. The answer quality can be improved by adding additional knowledge sources, prompts, topics, or instructions, and a test case can be rerun at any time. This agent has been enhanced quite a bit, So let's test the entire end-to-end process. We'll start with the trigger, the creation of the sales order from the agent flow. The agent will evaluate all the factors we've grounded it in, determining on its own which sources are needed to assemble the route plan and deliver the planning document. This is not a single prompt, but a multi-step reasoning problem that requires balancing cost, distance, service level commitments, and operational rules. Once the route planning is done, the agent will create the route plan for final review and approval. This, in turn, will send the test results back to the agent flow that called it to ensure the flow is functioning correctly. Once published, execution begins. Historically, this required planners to manually summarize changes, notify warehouse teams, and update downstream systems. But with the new Workflows agent in M365, operations managers can create their own automations, closing that elusive last mile. There's no need to be a workflow expert. They simply open the Workflows agent or @mention it from the main chat and describe what they want. The manager, using everyday language, tells the agent that whenever a route plan is received, to ask for approval. If approved, send a Teams message to the local warehouse operations team with a summary of the plan. The Workflows agent takes those instructions and turns them into step-by-step automations that the agent can follow. In the event any of the instructions are unclear, the agent will ask for clarification, continuing the conversation with the manager until it is confident that it understands their intent for the workflow. It will use the description to determine which applications it should incorporate into the workflow. Once it's complete, the manager can review the steps and make any adjustments required. When the manager saves the workflow, it becomes immediately active. With Copilot Studio, Coca-Cola Beverages Africa saves planners between 1 and 1.5 hours every day, enables continuous planning, reduces operational complexity, and scales autonomous execution. This is what modern operational planning looks like when agents do more than assist. They plan, act, and adapt.
That was an incredible demo. I love being able to see all of these different products working together.
Absolutely. One of my favorite parts of the Copilot Studio demo is that I actually built the Copilot Studio demo using a Copilot Studio demo agent that I built in Copilot Studio. So essentially, I had an agent that I built that helped to convert my notes about CCPA into the demo guide, and then use that to create things like the JSON and some of the other things that I needed to really recreate the demo and do CCPA justice.
That's so cool. And I feel like that just goes to show how the work that we're doing is changing, and how we do that work is also changing with these different tools evolving.
Completely agree. So I've had to sum it up in one word. I would say family. And like you were saying, better together, that's family in so many ways. We think about the similarities that family can sometimes have, for example, desktop flows and Kua, but also a lot of differences as well. And you can enhance each other from a lot of these differences. So I would absolutely say family is the overriding theme of the day here.
I totally agree. And I feel like that's such a great note to begin wrapping up our show.
Absolutely. Oh, before we wrap, so I've been talking a lot about tech hot takes and all of this. Do you have a tech take?
I think my tech hot take is probably that Power Platform in Copilot Studio, while the technology is super cool, I think what makes it the best is really the community that surrounds it.
Family, community, there's so much overlap there as well, right? And so we would love for you to join our community too. There, we have tons of resources available if you want to learn more about the things that you saw today. First, get your preview environment on. And if you join our communities, the Power Platform community and the Agent community, stay tuned there to keep hearing all of the new features that we're going to be announcing on these official channels.
And make sure that you tune in to our YouTube channel for Power Platform, because we're releasing a ton of new series. My favorite is Perspectives, where we explore business problems from the community and alongside Microsoft leaders. And we only scratch the surface of all of the capabilities that are coming in Release Wave 1. If you want to learn more, be sure to head to the Release Planner, where you're going to see everything that's coming across Power Platform, Copilot Studio, and Dynamics 365.
And remember to check back in at the second half of the year as we start introducing a whole new set of features for Release Wave 2 2026. I personally cannot wait to see what's coming next.
Same here. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time.